Peace and love, family. Welcome to U.S. Political Prisoners and You. I'm Brother Frank, and I'm with my brother.
Tyreek.
Uh, or you want to say?
Yes, I'm Tyreek. I'm a Black Panther. I'm a former member of the Black Liberation Army. I spent 17 years in numerous American death camp prisons as a political prisoner of war. Peace, family. I'm happy to be with you today.
Yeah, so today is day 25 of Black History Month. I hope those who are taking Black History Month very seriously are learning new things, are studying things, and allowing themselves to develop in terms of how they relate history to what's going on currently, so that we're not just getting caught up in being able to know things for the sake of knowing things, but we're actually knowing things to allow us to take a position in terms of what's happening in our world, in the world that we live in. So today we're talking about Fannie Lou Hamer, right? So Fannie Lou Hamer, born October 6, 1917. She made her transition March 14th, 1977. Was an American voting and women's rights activist, community organizer, and leader of the civil rights movement. She was the vice chair of the Freedom Democratic Party, which was represented at the 1964 Democratic National Convention. Hamer also organized Mississippi's Freedom Summer along with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC. She was a co-founder of the National Women's Political Caucus, an organization created to recruit, train, and support women of all races who sought election to government offices. Hamer began her civil rights activism in 1962, continuing it until her health declined 9 years later. She was known for her use of spiritual hymns and biblical quotes, and for her resilience in leading the civil rights movement for Black women in Mississippi. She was threatened, harassed, shot at, and assaulted by racists, including members of the police, while she was trying to register to vote. She later helped and encouraged thousands of African Americans in Mississippi to become registered voters, and assisted hundreds of disenfranchised people in her area through her work in programs such as the Freedom Farm Cooperative. She ran for the U.S. House in 1964, losing to Jamie Whitten, and she ran for the Mississippi State Senate in 1971. In 1970, she led legal action against the government of Sunflower County, Mississippi, for continued illegal segregation. Hamer died on March 14th, 1977, age 59, in Mount Battle, Mississippi. Her memorial service widely attended, and U.S. Ambassador to the United States Andrew Young delivered her eulogy. She was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame in 1993. On January 4th, 2025, President Joe Biden posthumously awarded Hamer the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So that's just to give you an idea of her work. As we see, she was an organizer. One of the things that they did not include in that description of her life, that was courtesy of Wikipedia, it was that she was a political prisoner, right? It's very important that we understand what is the motivation behind U.S. political prisoners and you. It's always to talk about political prisoners, current political prisoners, learn also from what was done for past political prisoners in terms of them being targeted for their work. Obviously, that's what made them a political prisoners. And what's their body of work? How can we take that body of work and learn from it so we can utilize it to fight for our self-determination? All right, to determine uh, who's who's who when it comes to being on our side. Right, we know our freedom fighters are just that, our freedom fighters, and they're not what the state says they claim to be. Right, the state says that those who are in prison are not in prison because of their politics, but rather because of their criminal acts, because they are terrorists, they are threats to the state. But we have to control our own narrative. That's why we ask those who tune into U.S. political prisoners and you to support the program by sharing with others, and also invite those who you know who are interested in tuning in to make sure that they subscribe to Black Power Media, because we got to control our own media. We got to control our own narrative. That being said, let us continue into the program. When I have my brother on, I have a number of questions that I bring because I want us to have a very intense, important discussion so we can take what we learned from today and utilize that for the fight of our political prisoners. So the first question that I had to my brother is, uh, why is Fannie Lou Hamer important in 2026?
And my response is Fannie Lou Hamer's life is important in 2026 because, like during her lifetime, during the 1960s, Black people are faced with being kept out of the mainstream of the economic life of the country. Back during 1963, America was producing 35% of the world's products. America was experiencing its greatest economic prosperity. Black people were being kept on the sideline watching whites enjoy the rising standard of living. And that's what was happening back then. Back then in the 60s, it followed the World War II when the industrial countries of the world had bombed themselves in the rubble, and the only country that was left standing really was the United States. The United States was producing, as I said, 35% of the world's products. And because of that, they were enjoying unprecedented prosperity. Whites were beginning to buy cars, one or two cars for every family. They were beginning to buy houses and move to the suburbs. And this is what Fannie Lou Hamer was standing in the plantation fields picking cotton. And this is what she was seeing. And this is what a lot of Black people were seeing at that time. And that is seeing the prosperity that whites were experiencing, undergoing. That inspired a lot of Black people to want to attack segregation and want to secure civil rights for themselves so that they can be a part of the prosperity, being that they had just fought in the wars and they have fought in World War II, they have fought in Korea, and many of those persons felt that now that America was experiencing the prosperity that they were experiencing, Black people should also be a part of that experience, and that is what inspired Fannie Lou Hamer. Fannie Lou Hamer, plus, when she was a child, she used to realize that no matter how hard her family worked or other Black people worked, they never had enough food. So Fannie Lou Hamer said as a child that once she grew up, she was going to devote her life to helping to improve the situation that Black people were in. And that's what people today have to see our situation and then formulate a plan that will enable them to contribute to getting Black people out of the situation that we are in. And that is the life that Fannie Lou Hamer experienced. So that her life is important in 2026 because her life should be regarded as a template for all Black people. All Black people should see our situation and know that the answer to our situation is to involve ourselves in a collective effort to free ourselves. And that's why her life is important in 2026.
Absolutely. Fannie Lou Hamer, they were fighting for the right to adequate food, clothing, and shelter during her time. And that's the ongoing fight. And obviously, that's the fight because of how capitalism works, the formula for those who profit off of the labor of the working class. They continue to create the situation that has the working class people in a situation that they're in, which is the struggle for food, clothing, shelter. But we look at Fannie Lou Hamer examples of resilience. We know that she is famous for her quote, which is, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." And that is when you're extremely fed up. But we learned from her example that she remained resilient. She continued to organize. She didn't give up. She knew the power of local politics. She knew the power of being involved. She knew the power of organizing people. She knew the power of her voice. She made some incredible speeches. One speech she had, she was actually with Malcolm X, and that was the famous speech of "Sick and tired of being sick and tired." And just for her to be on the stage with Malcolm X, letting you know that she shared those views about a right to self-determination by any means necessary. She understood that we had to get to the people. We had to bring these ideas because we're in a constant war of ideas. And these wars attack our right to self-determination. That's why when we talk about our policies, we have to be clear, we have to be committed, we have to be very serious, and we have to mature politically, right? We have to stop engaging in political discussions as if it's just some mere entertainment. And that's why when we talk about Black History Month, we talk about actually a time for us to get empowered by the lessons of the past. So that's why this platform and this discussion is so important because it's crucial to what we're going to do regarding our current situation, including the responsibilities we have towards getting our political prisoners free. So the next question is, what is happening? What is happening currently that was happening during her time of organizing people?
Okay, back during Fannie Lou Hamer's time in the 60s, what was going on with persons who were deciding to work to improve the collective life of the people. Back then, Fannie Lou Hamer moved from one house to another. And when she moved to that other house, someone fired 16 shots in the house. And the reason why she had to move is because she was working towards registering people to vote, and where she was working at, on the plantation she was working at, the plantation owner told her that she would no longer be welcome on that job if she continued to pursue the civil rights efforts and continue to pursue the voting registration program. And so she had to leave there, and that's when she lost her job, and then she went to the other house, and that's where the person fired 16 shots in the house. And that is what's going on today. And back during then, during Fannie Lou Hamer's time, the government officials, was known as the Ku Klux Klan, the government officials, they killed three civil rights workers. They killed James Chaney, they killed Michael Schwerner, and they killed the other brother. They killed three persons. They killed the three persons, James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner back then. And today we have a situation, a very similar situation, when persons who are pursuing efforts to improve the lot of the collective Black situation, they oftentimes are fired from their jobs. And as we know, Goodman and Renee Good and Alex Petty, they were killed in their efforts to work to help the civil rights of the immigrants, and they were civil rights workers, modern day abolitionists, as it were, and they were killed the same way Goodman and Cheney was killed. And so that's the nexus. That's what's going on. That's what was going on back then, and that is what's going on now. The government officials, the ICE agents killed Good, and the ICE agents killed Petty. And back during the 60s, the agents killed the three civil rights workers, the Ku Klux Klan agents for the government. They worked for the government, and they killed the civil rights workers. So that is what's going on today, and that is what was going on in the past. And so there's been no change in that the government pursuit, the government position on civil rights workers.
Right. So she would say Fannie Lou Hamer, beloved comrade, beloved former political prisoner. She was faced with some serious challenges, but she remained resilient. She remained um focused on what needed to be done because she knew from her upbringing, right, she knew how vicious the white races were, and she knew that, if you show any signs of weakness, then you're done. You're going to continue to live life the way it's been for so long. And but she had enough, and her effort and the work that she's done let us know that that's what you're supposed to be about, right? If you're supposed to be very serious about your politics, you're supposed to lead by example, and that's one thing I admire her a lot about. And just like Malcolm, they led by example, right? They weren't going to do something that they weren't going to tell you to do something that they was not willing to do. And I think Fannie Lou Hamer, her body of work speaks about that. And I think that it's very important that we recognize her commitment, her sacrifices. These are the attributes of a political prisoner, and she was a former political prisoner. And when we start to look at her as such, we start to ask ourselves questions, and we start to put that question to others that if there was political prisoners during that time, are there political prisoners now? And we start to bring up names like Mumia Abu Jamal, names like Ronald Reed, names like Joseph Bowen, names like Kamal Siddiqui, right, and others, right, and that allows us to understand that it's serious business when it comes to our political prisoners. We have to do what is necessary. We have to commit ourselves to what level of action that we're comfortable with, right? Attend a program, share information like this being aired right now. Share with 10 contacts or more. Allow that idea to circulate amongst your group of people and beyond. So now it allows them to take a position, write to a political prisoner, build that relationship, and take it from there.
And we have to know that when Fannie Lou Hamer was a political prisoner, they asked her what was she doing, and she said that she was attempting to register people to vote and involve them, and to working to attempt to involve people in the political process. And when she was a political prisoner, the guards, they had the prisoners so afraid of them that they made the prisoners beat Fannie Lou Hamer up, beat her for a long time, but she still continued to pursue her efforts to improve the situation of Black people. And so that was the way it was back then. And when I was in jail, one of the reasons why the guards said that they wanted to kill me is because when they would say good morning, Tyreek, I would say good morning to them, and they would be so outraged at that because I was acting like I was equal to them instead of saying, yes, sir, boss, yes, sir, like the other prisoners are doing. This is America. That's the way they made the other prisoners say, yes, sir, boss. And I didn't say yes, sir, boss. So they were so outraged that they said, we got to kill that Tyree because he think he's equal to us. That is the real America. And the only way we're going to change that is we have to decide to make the necessary sacrifices to change that. And so that's what Fannie Lou Hamer was dealing with. And that is the present situation. That situation has not changed. And so we have to remember our political prisoners were working to change this situation. And we have to support our political prisoners and show them that we appreciate for the sacrifices and the efforts they are making.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sacrifices that they made and they continue to make. I was just listening to a discussion on Mumia, organizers for Mumia, and I was in admiration around seeing the details of the discussion, how everybody inserted their ideas and decisions were in the process of being made as far as what is the next move to move forward. Thinking about that makes me think about Fannie Lou Hamer being an organizer. I think that is very important to highlight that she was an organizer, because when you're an organizer, you're actually bringing people together on a particular ideas, and you have the intent to carry that idea. And I think that, there should be distinctions between those who are debaters and those who are organizers, right? It is good to debate amongst fellow organizers, right? But if you just debating amongst debaters, what is going to come out of that? Is continuous debates? Is that bravado that you are stroking, that ego that you're stroking, instead of actually getting to the heart of the problem and deciding that there's something that needs to be done, a tactic needs to be carried out on a strategy that has been established. And Fannie Lou Hamer obviously did that as an organizer. And we're able to examine her body of work and take that and utilize that in today's issues that's going on, the issues with ICE, the issues still with adequate food, clothing, and health and shelter. So that being said, that leads me to the next question, which is, what responsibility do we have to her legacy?
We have to know, we have to pass on to other people, to persons today, that Fannie Lou Hamer should be regarded as a template of the type of persons that we need. Fannie Lou Hamer did not have a PhD, but she thought of herself as intelligent. And I want to say to everyone out there, you do not need a PhD, a doctorate degree, in order to regard yourself as intelligent. And if you are intelligent, then you can figure out whatever is necessary to figure out. But the main thing is you have to think of yourself as intelligent. And that is what Fannie Lou Hamer did. She thought of herself as intelligent. And of course, when she ran across a problem, she was able to figure it out. And that is what you have to do. You have to figure out the solution to matters. But firstly, you have to think of yourself as intelligent. And she also thought of herself as courageous. And these matters of thinking of herself as intelligent and as courageous and as a human being, the most valuable entity in the world, that is because her parents raised her right. And we are dealing with persons, the enemy, the 1%, and the agents of the 1% are persons, really, they are former abused children. They have been abused, and that is why they can be so violent and shoot Renee Good in the head and shoot her in the breast and shoot her in the arm. They shot her 3 times, and they could shoot Alex Petty. They shot him 10 times because they are former abused children, and they want to show themselves that they are not afraid and that they are courageous and they can be in shootouts and things like that. And so that we want to raise loving people. We want to raise people the way Fannie Lou Hamer's parents raised her. They was from watching the video on her, I could see that her parents would sit down with her and talk with her and explain things to her. And that is the way we have to raise our children. Don't yell at them and don't beat them, because you will turn out persons who want to join the oppressor's army and who want to hurt people, want to kill people, want to be in shootouts and that sort of thing. We don't need people like that. We have to turn out loving people, and then we can turn out a loving society just by you not yelling at your child, not beating your child, not calling your child stupid, and you will be significantly contributing to the liberation of humankind in the way that Fannie Lou Hamer did. And remember what Fannie Lou Hamer said: "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." And we could eliminate saying that by practicing good child rearing efforts and raising good, loving people.
Absolutely. People like Malcolm X, people like Fannie Lou Hamer, and so many others, they tirelessly fought for the people's right to self determination, and their legacy is in our hands, right? And I think that we say what their legacy means to us by what we decide to do, right? Obviously, we start examining, meaning learning who they are and what they did. That's why before we even started a discussion on Fannie Lou Hamer, we went into her history, her biography, and we detailed out what was going on in her life. And there's even more information, but I didn't have enough time to go into all of the information because our program is only for half an hour. But I just wanted to give you a briefing of who she is and what she did, and the fact that she is a political prisoner. Because when we start to understand who a person is and what their legacy is in our hands. Right now, we're conscious of who Fannie Lou Hamer is. Now we make a decision on what that means to us, and that should motivate us to take a position on injustice. Right? We know that a political prisoner is an injustice. We know that we need to do what is necessary to bring them home and not allow them to die in prison. And that means that we have to apply strategies and tactics. Some strategies, some tactics are occupying places in a community, right? Particularly, I always advocate, or at least I strive to advocate consistently about occupying community centers, having programs around what's going on in the community, but utilizing it from the position of a political prisoner. And what do I mean by that? I'm saying that what would a political prisoner do if that political prisoner was not in prison. In fact, asked them about what are their views around this particular topic, and that's what I did with Barada Bao when he was in prison. I asked him uh, about his position around grieving and what does he think should be done, and he gave me and my fellow members of grieving support group information about what should be done. So we built a relationship around an issue that's going on. And that's my suggestion for people anywhere, because I think that if we attack an idea from where we're at, then now we have a collective a movement. We have a collective strike at this oppressor, because to see something happen from different angles all at once makes what we're saying more empowering. And I think that that is our responsibility to Fannie Lou Hamer's legacy, to decide that we're going to take a position that she would take wherever we're at, and we're going to put more pressure on this system.
And Fannie Lou Hamer, she spoke glowingly about the whites who had joined the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, who were contributing to the voting rights efforts and who was contributing to involving Black people in the electoral process. She spoke glowingly of those whites. And today we should remember that all whites are not our enemies. And we had a situation the other day where a person at the Oscars in England, they use the N word, and I think the intelligence community in England allowed that to stay in, whereas a person who has said free Palestine, that was eliminated before the person saw that, but they allowed the use of the N word 3 times to stay in there because they want to encourage Black people to attack white people at random. And that is the wrong way to go. And that is what they want to teach us, to go in the wrong way. And Fannie Lou Hamer tells us by her example, speaking glowingly about the whites who was in the SNCC program, that is the way to go, not attack whites at random, but defend yourself when attacked by racist whites. And the other day, prior to the use of the N-word, there was a person who portrayed Michelle and Obama as gorillas. But that, we have to know, those are symbols that abused children use. Abused children see their fathers as apes. Apes. He's an animal that will yell at them and say, I'm going to kill you, little boy, and I'm going to beat you and all of that. And those little children come to see their father as an ape. And that's what the abused children want to kill. They want to kill their father, and they are projecting that onto Obama and Michelle. But really, it's the former abused children, the racists and the misogynists who want to kill their fathers. That's what's going on with that. And so we want to do the right thing and just respond appropriately when attacked by racists, and that is to fight them, and not just randomly see a white person and just jumping them, be wrestling around in the streets with them and doing the wrong thing. So Fannie Lou Hamer, part of her legacy is that we should follow the example that Fannie Lou Hamer has set for us. Okay.
Absolutely. You know, I know Fannie Lou Hamer. I think if she was with us physically, and obviously her ideas are still with us, that she would take a definitive position around political prisoners. And she was one, so she know what it is to be in prison because of your politics. So I think that in recognizing who she is and what she did, what we should be doing is taking a definitive position around our political prisoners. We should be writing to our political prisoners. We should attend programs. We should donate what we can. We should ask what can we do with organizations, right? And allow those organizations to give us assignment based on our capacity. And I think that, you know, when we do things like that, we're actually carrying on her legacy. We're actually being responsible for what she's committed to our liberation struggle. We're not ignoring our responsibility when it comes to what should be done around the attack that's happening, because that is an attack to a people, to have your freedom fighters be captured, to have your freedom fighter continue to be in prison. And the final blow is to have your political prisoners or your captured freedom fighters die in prison. With that being said, we ask you to subscribe to Black Power Media, encourage others to subscribe to Black Power Media if they haven't, and continue to just tune in to our programs and programs that are about political prisoners, because we all can do something. So y'all know the call, free them all. Got any closing words, my brothers?
Free them all, and you want to know that the political prisoners are the only ones who are willing to sacrifice their lives to make sure you have the correct information so that you can move correctly. And so for them doing that, we should respond to them by writing them and appreciating them and knowing that they are the only ones who will tell you the right things and let you know what course is the right course. So free them all.
Peace and love, family. Travel safe. See you next week.